I was just reflecting on trust, and it just comes to me over and over again that trust is really a choice. We are so used to thinking that we need to have reasons to trust, and only if those reasons are given to us, only in that case is trust justified. But Jesus is teaching to us that no, it's like we decide what we are going to see, what witnesses we will receive, because the cause is in the mind, and the world is just the effect of our choice in the mind. It's the choice in what we want to see. And before we left Brazil, right now we are in Colombia, before we left Brazil, we watched this animation that's called Spirit, Stallion of the Cimarron. I don't know if I pronounced the last word properly, but it's a beautiful, beautiful animation. And before we watched the movie, we read the review from MWGE, which was really, really helpful. And if you have not watched that animation, it's about a horse that at the beginning of the animation, the horse is just so free. It's a wild horse, wild stallion, and it just runs around freely. It has his own pack, and like he's so free. And but through his adventure, then he ends up in the experiences when he rebels all the time. His freedom, it seems like his freedom is taken away. So he rebels and rebels and rebels, and he does not trust humans. So that is his experience. But I really wanted to read this review, which is really short, but it reflects on trust and how these experiences and reflections and witnesses are coming to us, that the cause is in the mind and it's not really in the world. So once there was autonomy and defiance, but through trust, willingness, and gentleness, it is seen that the Spirit's way is the way to freedom. Through trust, willingness, and gentleness. Through trust, it is seen that the Spirit's way is a way to freedom. At first, it is interpreted as sacrifice and loss of control, but eventually it is seen that there are blessings in accepting Spirit's call, which is our own. Rebellion leads to continued struggle, but surrender opens up to a friendship that leads us back to the lands where we are joined with the mighty wings of an eagle. And it's like this last sentence is so beautiful and so good to remember while watching this animation. Rebellion leads to continued struggle. And every time this horse was rebelling, every time, it was like he was in every situation. He was in a situation when he was struggling. It seemed like he was victimized, and others wanted to defeat him or control him or take away his freedom. And every time he was rebelling and rebelling and rebelling. And this was like that experience for him was struggle. And then it says, but surrender opens up to a friendship that leads us back to the lands where we are joined with the mighty wings of an eagle. But then he has this encounter with this guy. It's almost like native guy from those lands who are joined with the nature, synced with the nature, and who honors and respects animals and the nature. So finally this horse reached the point when he has to choose to trust this guy. And as soon as he trusts, then all of a sudden this guy reflects him the freedom. He actually sets him free. So in the movie, in the animation, if you watch it from the worldly perspective, you may see like at the beginning that freedom was taken away from him. He was struggling and everything, and finally there came the guy who kind of set him free. But if you look at from a higher perspective, no, it was a reflection of his mind. As long as he had this rebelliousness in his mind, he found all the situations where he had to rebel. It seemed like he had to rebel, like he ended up like in this struggle all the time. And that was his reflection of his mind. That was just, it was not that actually like world was doing it to him. It was his choice in the mind. As long as he believed in the rebelliousness, that was reflected back to him. But he went to different experiences, and once the mind reached the point when it kind of made that decision, oh my God, rebelliousness does not feel helpful. It feels tiring. It's not my aim. I don't want to have that experience anymore. Then the experience of trust came about, and it was almost like he released that rebellion nature from his mind, from his system, and then the experience of trust came about. Then the trust was reflected. Then the surrender came about. And it's almost like at the beginning of the movie, it feels like the experience, we are in heaven, we are joined, we are free, we are one with God and everything. And all of a sudden this rebelliousness came about. It seemed like this autonomy came about, and then all the struggles came about. And then it's like our journey, like we are one with God, and then we feel like we believe that we separated, and we want to autonomy, we want to be separate, we want to do our own thing. We think that we know our own best interests, we think that we are sane, we think that we know what the world is really about, what the personality self is really about. And we struggle all the time. We believe that we actually struggle, but it's like through that struggle, it's like there is learning, and you can see in that animation that spirit is always there. He sends this character which helps him to open up. He sends the experience of love, experience of a relationship, experience of wanting to join actually. And he uses, like Jesus uses everything, and he sends these characters to help us realize, no, you actually want to be joined, you actually want to be one, you actually want to feel connected, you want actually to have that pure relationship. And through that, almost like Jesus, you can see how Jesus convinces us and shows us what we really want, what is in our own best interest that we are not conscious of. And it's so beautiful. Then in the end, he decides to trust, he decides to surrender, and then he's actually set free. Then he actually goes back into that experience of oneness and freedom, running around in a limitless experience. So it's like, it's all about trust, and it's about choice. We choose to trust. And can you imagine if you just choose to trust, if you just choose that, to think that your brother is not against you, that there is only one interest, and we all are serving that one interest, that one goal, that truth, no matter how things look like. And if we choose not to be suspicious, not to be like, almost like not to believe that we can be deceived, if we can just choose to trust our brother, if you just take that in your heart right away, I feel like, in my experience, the whole weight is removed, and you can actually, I can actually trust my brother. It's just such a beautiful experience. But we can't expect for us to be given reasons to trust. It has to come from the choice. You choose to trust, and then the experience, then the convincing comes to us. Then we are convinced that that trust was actually justified. But we have to make the choice first. And that's what Jesus means. It's a reversing our thought system. Like, instead of expecting the world to give us reasons to love, give us reasons to forgive, give us reasons to trust, no, we choose to love, we choose to forgive, we choose to trust first. And then we can see, then we can witness the world shifting and changing and reflecting all this love, all this care, all this lightheartedness, and all this trust. So yeah, that's what is emphasized in my mind, that the trust is really a choice. It comes from you first, then the witnesses, and then convincing is the effect of that choice in the mind.